Good. Happy Friday to you. I'm glad you're with me. We're closing out another week of our Bridge Connection. We're going to be in Psalms 119. We're going to pick it up at 73, where we left off yesterday. So let's just go ahead and jump in, see where this takes us today, okay? Psalm 73 says, "Your hands have made me and fashioned me. Give me understanding that I may learn your commandments." When I thought about that, I thought, the psalmist is surrendering to God because he recognizes that God is his maker. God has fashioned him. God has formed him. God has made him into the person that he is, and with every part of his being, every attribute that he has, everything that's going on. God put my eyes and my nose and my face and everything about me. God, you formed me. You made me with such a marvelous. Your hands have made me and fashioned me. I think that is so incredible. And he was able to, when he was able to say that, then he goes on to say, "Give me understanding that I may learn your commandments." I mean, since you made me, he's saying, since you fashioned me, there's no reason why you didn't fashion me to learn your commandments, to understand your ways. They're not going to be too difficult. They're not going to be, beyond my comprehension. You wrote them, you gave them to me in such a way that I could apply them and understand them. And so when he realized, what God had done by fashioning him, we could understand that he's understanding that you fashioned me with purpose. Okay? So in other words, if you made me this way, now show me your commandments that I can walk in obedience to what you've called me to do. So you made me with these certain things, and I want to use them. I want to be, productive in your kingdom. I want to be productive in why you created me. Why did you make me? And since you did make me, then help me to understand your commandments to be able to fulfill your purpose for my life. See, God has a purpose for each and every one of us. None of us are mistakes. None of us are accidents. God formed us. He knew us before we were even created in our mother's womb. And he created us with purpose in his kingdom. And so that's all the psalmist is saying. We can say the same thing. Lord, you created me with these good points. You created me with the bad stuff, with the stuff that I don't understand why I look this way, or why I have this inability to think properly as far as, putting things together as quickly as other people, or whatever. He formed you that way because he has purpose. He gave you talents that you can use. Sometimes we long for, if I just had that talent, if I could sing like that person, or understand like that person, or be able to, understand the word when I read it like that person does. Well, you can, if you just do what the psalmist did and ask God very simply, give me understanding that I may learn your commandments so I can be who you called me to be. Those who fear you, verse 4, you will be glad. Let me try that again. Those who fear you will be glad when they see me, because I have hoped in your word. Oh, I absolutely love that. What haven't you ever been just, don't you feel good when there are certain Christians you just meet that maybe you've never met before, but there's just a kinsmanship. There's a kindred spirit. They're joyful maybe, or they're on fire for the Lord, and that's all they want to talk about, or they just want to see how you're doing so they can pray with you and make sure that everything's all right in your life. Those who hope in the Lord's word become just exuberant in the life of God. They become a tool of the Holy Spirit. So as I hope in God's word, those who fear you will be glad when they see me because they have hoped in your word. So if I'm a believer that's hoping in God's word, if I'm a believer that has decided that whatever God's word says, well, that's what I'm going to live in. That's what I'm going to do. And no matter where it takes me, no matter what, I want to be a person that delights myself in the word of God, like this psalmist. And then I'm going to be refreshing to other people. I'm not always going to be feeling sorry for myself. And there are times when I feel sorry for myself, and there are times when I get down. But if I'm being refreshed in his word, those times don't have to last as long as they used to. I don't have to live that way. That does not have to be the direction of my life. The direction of my life is one who is living and hoping in the word of God, knowing that it will become true because I hope in God's word. I know, Lord, that your judgments are right, and that in faithfulness you have afflicted me. Now, we've talked about this before. There are times when, we need God's discipline. And that's not something he's, just, shoving out at us all the time. Go sit in the corner, go, it's time out for you, Chuck, or whatever. No, he works with me and he works with you, and he teaches us his way as we're in his word and as we're in prayer. And as he's doing those things, we need to understand that we're to walk in obedience because we're reading how to be obedient. And those times that we're not, those times that he can't get through to us, and he works with us and works with us, and the fellowship is being broken because we're not spending time with him, then he will allow things to come into our lives. I don't think God breaks our legs to get our attention. I don't think God makes us sick. I think we live in a world that's a fallen world, and there's sickness and there's disease, and there are times that God permits those circumstances in our lives, and everything has been filtered through his love. Because the Bible says nothing will separate us from the love of God, nothing. So whatever's going on has been filtered through his love. And so in his love, he knows that whatever's going on somehow is going to be worked out, for our benefit and his glory somehow, whether we understand that or not. It's kind of a mark of spiritual maturity when we understand that he shares with us in such a way, and we allow him to do that. We allow him to work in our lives because he's a just God. And then we're faithful to whatever he's calling us to do and whatever's going on. And we're not blaming God for a situation or a circumstance or a thing going on in our lives. Yes, I know, Lord, he says in verse 5 again, your judgments are right. Your judgments are right, God. I know that. Because in faithfulness, you have allowed things in my life that always work out the way they're supposed to work out. And I thank you for that. Now we're not wise enough or sharp enough to, when I fall or when I get in a mess or something happens or there's pain in my life or in my family or whatever, to just understand, well, this is God doing. I don't say that. I begin to pray and say, God, we need deliverance. We need wholeness. We need, things in these things in our lives. And I trust him. But when I get down to it and I begin to read and I begin to understand that he's faithful. He's faithful in his love towards us, towards my family, towards children of God. And in his faithfulness, he allows things that are for our benefit, whether we understand that, or not at the get-go. Let, I pray, verse 76, your merciful kindness be for my comfort, according to your word to your servant. Let, I pray, your merciful kindness be for my comfort, according to your word to your servant. In ourselves, and we just talked in verse talked about verse 75, and we say those things and see those things, but yet in ourselves we're weak. We don't always understand, and we don't always trust God, and we need His compassion to sustain us. We need His love. We need His mercy, His grace to sustain us in those times when we really don't understand what's going on. But we trust Him. So I said, let I pray your merciful kindness be my comfort according to your word. In my servant, I think of a verse in Hebrews 4:16 that says, let us therefore come boldly to the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in the time of need. So there are times of need, and there are times when where I'm coming to his throne boldly, and I've been doing that. I shared with you yesterday that, got a couple of daughters that have been, fighting COVID, and I shared with you yesterday, one's been released and she's home on oxygen. The other one is still fighting, very, very hard to get her oxygen up and get it where it's supposed to be. And so we thank you for your continued prayers, and we'll let you know when God answers it and how He answers it, because He's going to. And there's those times that we need to go boldly before His throne, and we say, Lord, I don't understand. I trust your word as much as I can, like this psalmist. And sometimes I just get frustrated. There are doubts. Lord, I believe. Help thou my unbelief. Lord, there are times I just have to bring this situation to Him and say, God, please help. Please release my daughters. Please, having two in the hospital at the same time, was really tough. And now, one's over a hump and made a turn, and the other ones could do the same thing. But there are times that you just have to say, okay, God, I trust you, and I leave this in your hands, but I come boldly before your throne in my time of need, because my time of need is right now. I don't have all the answers. I just have a problem. I lay it at your feet, Jesus. So you don't have to have all the answers. We don't have to perform for God. What I'm saying, what the psalmist does and what we're supposed to do, it's not based upon our performance. Man, relationships of performance always fail. If you have to perform for your husband or for your wife just to be, in a comfortable environment or whatever, performance never works. We don't have to perform for God. I've had so many performance relationships. You want to perform a certain way so they like you or whatever, man. Just be released from that. We don't have to perform for Him. He did that on the cross for us, and it's taken care of. So now we can come boldly before Him saying, I don't know what's going on here, Lord. I do trust you. I believe your word. But God, I don't understand why this is happening. My heart breaks right now when I surrender this to you. And then we surrender it to God, and we watch Him bring healing and wholeness as only He can. Verse 77, let your tender mercies come to me, that I may live. For your law is my delight. Let your tender mercies, I love that, come to me, that I may live. Every display of the tender mercies of God is kind of like just a fresh anointing, a fresh, just an overwhelming understanding of the presence of God. I don't know how to explain this, but I guess maybe the word is I was in the hospital not long ago with somebody who was getting a transfusion, and, it's kind of like, when God displays His tender mercies, when all of a sudden, how does He do that? He does stuff that we don't deserve. I look at the cross. That's the display of His tender mercies. And every time I look at the cross anymore, tears begin to well up. And I know there are tender mercies. And that's like just an infusion of the goodness, the wonderfulness, the magnificence, the gracefulness, of God. And it says, those who delight in his law. Oh, I love that. For your law is my delight. As we delight in his word, we have confidence that he will come alongside to help. That's what the psalmist said, according to your word, your servant. For your law is my delight. That is so fantastic. Let your tender mercies, verse 77 again, let your tender mercies come to me that I may live. So his mercies come, we see those, we experience those, and we delight in those. Why? Because your law has become my delight. Your word has become my delight. I take refuge in your word. When I can't see any hope around me, your word is always sufficient. And every day I want to get farther and farther to that place in my life where I rejoice in your word. Verse 78, let the proud be ashamed, for they treated me wrongfully with falsehood. One of the translations for that is this: shame the proud who harm me with lies while I ponder your precepts. Oh, I love that. Those people who are harming me and destroying me. And remember, the psalm was written by the psalmist who was under great persecution at this time for his love for God's word. He said that over and over. We continue to see that. So, shame the proud. Bring shame upon those who are bringing harm upon me because they're lying about me. Because what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ponder your word, your precepts. I'm going to live in your truth. God allows, for they treated me wrongfully with falsehood, but I will meditate on your precepts. God allows sin to work itself out, and the psalmist is just merely praying for God to do as he has said he would. When people sin against us, or sin happens, or we fail, or whatever, his word is always going to work it out as we surrender to him, and he's promised that he would do that. And I will meditate. We dealt with that word a time or two back. It's just meditating and thinking about it. I love the, just the understanding of meditate is, as you just 8 verses we studied today. And, we can meditate on those all day. We can think about the things we've said about mercy. We can think about the things he's said about giving us understanding and loving him and delighting in him and his word and being joyful so others are affected by who we are, and on and on and on. As we do that, we can meditate on that. We see that verse, we talk about it, and then we meditate on it, and it comes up the rest of the day. I can't tell you how many times throughout the day these things I'm talking about with you right now, and we're learning them together. And as I talk about them and kind of see what the psalmist is doing, I'm able to share that. Sometimes once in a day, sometimes twice, sometimes many times. I'm able to bring up, things that I've learned in that day, and then I meditate on it. So somebody will ask a question. I've just been meditating on the truth of his mercy and his grace and how faithful he is, even in my unfaithfulness. And I'm thinking about that, and somebody says something or asks a question, and I'm able to just make an answer or bring an answer from God's word. Is that because I've been meditating, I've been chewing on his word over and over and over again, all day long, just what I read that morning, or in my own devotions, or whatever. Let the proud be ashamed, for they treated me wrongly with falsehood, but I will meditate on your word all day long. Verse 79, Let those who fear you turn to me, those who know your testimonies. It is it's kind of a spiritual desire to seek fellowship with those who know and love Jesus Christ and the Word of God. And when you're living there, then you seek fellowship. Going to Bible study, going to church is not got to do that because the Word says so. And the pastor's been talking about people not coming, so we got to go. No, it's a delight to fellowship. I'm seeing it's getting harder and harder for people to live after a morning service on Sunday. I mean, not to live, but to leave. Not harder to live. Hopefully it's easier to live. But it's harder to leave because they just want to hang out. They want to just sit and talk and pray with each other. Have a time of fellowship and grab a cup of coffee or just open up the Word and talk. And there's something that's about an instinctiveness that we have, that when we find somebody that is filled with God, we want to spend time. And I wonder how many times, here's a thought, how many times do we really ask the Lord to lead people into our lives who will cross our path, that know you in such a way that we can gain fellowship? Maybe we should pray that before we go to Bible study. Pray that for church. God, plug me into somebody today that I can minister to and they can minister to me, or even through life. Bring somebody into my life today, maybe that I know. Maybe they're going to call me. Maybe they're going to email me and we can talk for a while. Or maybe it's somebody I work with. Maybe it's somebody I don't even know is a believer. Maybe it's somebody I don't even know. Bring them into my life today that we can have fellowship. And verse 80, finish it up. Let my heart be blameless regarding your statutes, that I may not be ashamed. There are so many reasons why we should desire to not be people of blame, that we would be people, obeying the statutes of God. The one singled out by the psalmist here is that we might avoid the shame of falling into sin. Let my heart be blameless regarding your statutes, that I may not be ashamed, that I may not be embarrassed, that I may not be, put on display because I have fallen into sin. What a prayer. God, let my heart be blameless regarding your statutes. And there's so many reasons to be blameless. He gives us one, that I may not bring shame upon you in anything that I would do by falling into sin. Well, that closes out today. I thought these would be a little shorter in time, but they're a little longer. Just kind of walking our way through these verses, but I'm having a good time, and I hope you are. I hope you have a great weekend. Spend some time in fellowship before you go to Bible study, before you go to church this week. Ask God to plug you into some people that you can have fellowship with. Ask Him to do that. Okay. God bless you, and have a great weekend. And we'll see you next week. All right.